Every single day, as we navigate through our towns, we often pass by familiar landmarks without even giving them a second thought. Among these landmarks are the town clocks that quietly stand sentinel, ticking away the moments of our lives. But have you ever paused to wonder about the history behind these clocks? When were they built? What stories do they hold? Join us as we explore the fascinating history of these iconic town clocks scattered across Jamaica. They may be easily overlooked, but their tales are rich with significance and heritage. So let's uncover the mysteries behind a few of these timeless symbols of our communities. And just to let you know that the clock at number 1 almost caused a war between Jamaica and another Caribbean island. Look out for that. Number 8. The Santa Cruz Clock Tower. The Santa Cruz Clock Tower is the youngest in Jamaica. This clock was erected in 2008 by the Rotary Club of Santa Cruz in memory of Irvin Anson. Irvin Anson served as councillor of the area for 25 years. This clock tower stands as a testament to community leadership and dedication. Number 7. The Duncan's Clock Tower in Trelawny. A little info about Duncan's Trelawny before we move along. Duncan's is said to have been named after Patrick Duncan, who owned the property in 1784. There is not a lot of information available about the clock tower in Duncan's. All we know is that it was donated by a Dr. Towera, a resident of the parish, in memory of his wife who passed in 1935. Number 6. The Crossroads Clock Tower in Kingston. The Crossroads Clock Tower in Kingston was erected in 1955 by the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. It was constructed in memory of those volunteers from the Kingston camp who lost their lives during the Second World War between 1939 and 1945. Written on the clock are the names of 50 of the volunteers. This clock tower stands as a symbol of honor, pride, and dignity for the role our volunteers played in defense of universal values. Number 5. The Halfway Tree Clock Tower in St. Andrew. The clock tower in Halfway Tree was built in 1913, and it was built as a memorial to King Edward VII of England. It is said that before the days of the clock tower, an ancient silk cotton tree stood in the same spot. Farmers and soldiers passing that area would stop to rest in the shade of this cotton tree or take a drink at one of the many taverns that were set up under its branches. The tree is said to have died in 1866. Number 4. The Chaplon Clock Tower in Clarendon. The Chaplon Clock Tower and War Memorial is a prominent landmark in the Chaplon Park. This clock tower commemorates the many men and women from Clarendon who fought and died in World War I from 1914 to 1918. The bust of Captain Cudger, the famed Maroon leader who fought and resisted the advances of the British, guards the entrance to the park. Fun fact about Chaplon. Back in the plantation era in Jamaica, Chaplon was a plantocracy settlement. A plantocracy settlement is a social and economic system where political power and wealth are held by a small group of plantation owners, especially in a colonial context. So instead of going to church in Maypen, the plantation owners built a church in Chaplon where they worshipped. Local folk therefore spoke about the chapel in town, and after a while it became known as Chapeltown. With passing of time, the name was distorted and became known as Chaplon. If you like videos like these, guys, remember to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. Number 3. The Maypen Clock Tower in Clarendon. The Maypen Clock Tower in the parish of Clarendon was originally known as Dr. Bell Memorial Clock, and this clock tower was built in memory of Dr. Robert Glaister Samuel Bell. Dr. Bell was a prominent doctor in the area who is said to have done a lot for his community. On June 12, 1904, Dr. Bell went to Maypen to visit a sick patient in Lucky Valley. On his way back, while crossing the Ryomino at a place called Sevens Crossing, Dr. Bell died in a terrible accident. The hired driver, Isaac Johnson, also drowned along with 2 horses. Work began on the tower in 1907 and it was finished in 1908. Number 2. The Albert George Market Clock Tower, Falmouth, Trelawney. Built in 1894, the Albert George Market is the most prominent landmark of Falmouth's Water Square. It was erected to provide permanent shelter for merchants and buyers since the town foundation and soon thereafter. It is also rumored that this market was used to buy and sell slaves for slave merchants. Located on the southeast edge of the square, the structure has two distinct portions. The first of these is a single-story masonry gatehouse structure with a three-story masonry and wood frame tower rising from the center. Designed as the building's main facade, the gatehouse faces Upper Arbor Street, the main commercial artery leading out of town to the east rather than onto the square itself. In keeping with the town's Georgian character, familiar architectural forms of Caribbean neoclassicism are present in the gatehouse facade. The building's corners and window surrounds are enlivened with coins, while the gateway arch is crowned with a pediment at its center. Clock faces alternate with arched windows in the octagonal tower. The one-story wings on either side of the gateway arch each contain a single room accessed by doors in the rear hall. Three panels positioned at the sides of the gate record the building's construction. The upper panel to the east of the gate is engraved with the name of the building and its date of erection, flanked by 2 stars of David. Below is a panel listing the name of the Kingston-based construction firm that undertook the project, Purdon and Cox. To the west of the gate, a panel records the names of 2 local men, the Honorable L. C. Shirley, Chairman of the Trelawney Parish Council, and A. M. Solomon, Esquire, Chairman of the Market Commission. Judging by the number of Solomons buried in the Jewish cemetery, A. M. Solomon was probably a member of Falmouth's sizable Jewish community. Number 1. The Lucy Town Clock in Hanover. Have you ever received a package that made it to your place by mistake? Well, Jamaica had something pretty similar happen way back in the early 19th century. It all happened in the small coastal town of Lucy in Hanover. Now, the name Hanover sounds quite German, and you'd be right to assume as such. You see, at this time, there was a heavy European presence in Jamaica due to a long history of colonialism and slave trading. Thus, Jamaica's second smallest parish, Hanover, had German residents who owned land in its primary township. These residents had ordered a town clock to be erected in Lucy, but as it turns out, there was a mix-up in transit. As the story goes, the township's name bore a striking resemblance to St. Lucia in Eastern Caribbean. A sea captain that was charged to ship a German-gifted clock to St. Lucia confused Lucia with Lucy. And he can hardly be blamed for the mix-up, since Lucy had been known as Lucia and a few other similar names after its establishment. When the clock arrived, after its long journey from Germany, the townsfolk of Lucy refused to let it go. As mentioned, prior to the wrong clock being shipped to their town, Lucian residents had ordered a less extravagant time teller. And since they had already brokered a deal to have their own clock, they paid the difference between the St. Lucia and Lucy clocks and took ownership of their neighbor's gift. Now, try settling that through UPS or Amazon. Not long afterward, a local landowner financed the final construction of the clock in 1817. Thank you so much for joining this tour of Jamaica's historical clock towers. Which one fascinated you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more intriguing content. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.